friendship, dead and buried. You guys gonna give me even the slightest hint where you're taking me? Asked Kevin, blindfolded as he sat in the back seat of a moving SUV. Strip club, casino, cliff jumping maybe? Tom and Mickey, his buddies since college, laughed. Kevin was getting married the following morning. They were determined to make his last day as a bachelor a memorable one. You wish. Come on, Morrissey. It's a surprise. You're gonna love it, said Tom, who was driving. Judging by all the turns they had made outside of Ithaca, Kevin could only assume they were somewhere out in the country. Mickey inserted earplugs into Kevin's ears. Don't take these off or you'll ruin the fun. Earplugs? The fuck do I need these for? Said Kevin. Just chill, dude, said Tom. His and Mickey's relationship with Kevin had always been an uneven one. Kevin thought he was God's gift to the world, cocky and hard-headed. Over the years, he had gotten Tom and Mickey in some bad situations, at times involving local law enforcement, and the two regularly questioned their friendship with a guy who was one worth having. But Kevin was about to marry Tom's sister, Wendy, and the occasion called for celebration. Kevin shifted to the left as he felt the car pull off the road. He gripped the seat as the vehicle bounced over uneven terrain. When they stopped, Mickey helped him out. Kevin felt his shoes press down into the spongy, wet sod as he stepped out of the vehicle. Where are we? Asked Kevin, but he only heard muffled voices in reply. As they walked away from the car, he relied on his still accessible senses. He began to hear dull noises but couldn't identify them. Aromas, both sweet and metallic, filled his nose. They walked for about 10 minutes before stopping. He heard other voices around him but couldn't make out what they were saying in what he believed to be laughter. Tom and Mickey had only said, "It's right up your alley," when they had left the parking lot of the diner that evening. Kevin was attempting to determine his surroundings when he was suddenly lifted up by his legs and arms and stuffed into a narrow box. It was only wide enough for his body, as he quickly found out when he attempted to shift inside. He felt a silky material along the sides and bottom, the softness of a pillow at the back of his head. What the hell is this? Again he heard muffled laughter. Someone removed the earplugs. I told you we had a surprise for you, said Tom. We're going to bury you alive. Kevin had no time to consider the meaning of Tom's statement before he heard a loud creak, followed by a heavy thump. He tore off his blindfold and reached to find that a thick wooden lid had been placed over him. What the fuck, guys, said Kevin as he shuffled inside of what he now knew could only be a casket. With what little light shone through the hinges, he could make out its silky white interior. What's going on? Surprise, said Tom, his voice somewhat muffled outside the box. Dude, you've heard of 6 Feet Under, right? The burial simulator? Kevin had. He'd read about it on Ghastly Tales, a horror blog he frequented. 6 Feet Under was supposed to recreate the sensation of an actual burial from the transport of the casket to getting planted in the ground, like a roller coaster simulator but with a macabre twist. We're at Frightville, said Kevin, mentioning the horror-themed amusement park a half hour from their hometown. Tomorrow's your big day, man, said Mickey. We're pulling out all the stops for you, bro. Gee, thanks, guys, said Kevin flatly. He felt the casket move as if it were being lifted by several men. His body shifted around as the box was jostled back and forth. Damn, this is pretty authentic. Let us know when you can't take it anymore, said Tom. Ha! Do you know who the hell you're talking to? I fall asleep to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, dude. I bet you couldn't handle 2 minutes in here, bitch. The casket continued to shimmy back and forth, up and down, and Kevin settled in for the ride, relishing the opportunity to experience something so morbidly peculiar. He had been in haunted houses and similar attractions, but never anything so visceral. He grinned as he felt the sensation of the casket being lowered and jolted as it hit what he assumed to be the bottom of a large hole, or at least a simulated one. The thick scent of freshly dug dirt filled the enclosed space of the casket. Kevin felt no sensations, heard nothing for an extended period, nor did he hear his friends outside. What's going on? Did it break down? Silence consumed and surrounded Kevin. He noticed his heart beating in his chest and began concentrating on the ragged tenor of his breathing. Guys, I'm falling asleep in here. Kevin meant to sound confident, but his voice broke mid-sentence. He then heard his friend's faint laughter. What are you guys laughing about? He said. While we've got you in there, how about you get real with us? Said Tom, a sudden callousness to his voice. Huh? Responded Kevin, who was not accustomed to Tom talking with any kind of authority. We've got dirt on you, no pun intended, said Mickey. Yeah, why don't you fess up and then we'll get on with it, added Tom, snickering. I have no idea what you guys are talking about, so cut the shit. Kevin attempted to push up on the lid, but it wouldn't budge. Not until you tell us what you've been keeping from us, said Tom. Asshole, I don't know what you're getting at. Let me the hell out of here so I can break your arm. Have it your way, said Tom. We already know what you did. We just want to hear it from your lips. Kevin heard shovels scooping dirt above him. The casket gently quivered as the lid was repetitively buffeted, reproducing the sensation of dirt being cast upon it. A heavier scent filled the box, and the little light afforded through the hinges had now given way to complete darkness. The sights, smells, and sensation of the experience were almost too real to be part of some theme park attraction, thought Kevin. The smell inside the coffin really had an earthiness to it that was almost convincing. It had seemed playful at first, but with the malice and tone of his friend's words and the claustrophobic nature of his burial, a new unexpected fear crept into the box with him. Guys, stop fucking around, Kevin said, doing nothing to conceal his panic. Let me out of here. But there was no reply from Tom or Mickey. Kevin felt utterly alone in the casket, accompanied only by the continued sound of piling dirt and the crackling of the wood above him. He became acutely aware of the casket's stifling warmth, largely due to his heavy, rapid breathing. As the coffin continued to tremble under the weight, Kevin flailed against the sides of his enclosure. Where am I really? He thought. He imagined some field in the middle of rural Tompkins County, his old pals standing 6 feet above, shovels being put to use. Sweat dampened his hair and trickled down his temples as he continued his futile attempts to escape the casket. He thought of Wendy, his bride-to-be, out with her girlfriends, oblivious that he would never see her again, a corpse in an unmarked grave. In that moment, Kevin screamed so loudly that his voice broke and his throat twinged. He attempted to kick the lid, but what little force he could muster only resulted in a light knock upon the wood and a sharp shooting pain in his foot. Guys, you got me, okay? You got me real good, said Kevin hysterically. We're not fucking around, said Tom viciously. This is your last chance. Tell us what you've been hiding or you'll stay buried in this hole. Kevin cried out, now weeping openly, loudly. He pounded the wood in a frenzy as he heard the unmistakable sound of dirt hitting the lid, the pressure of the soil above pushing the casket further into the earth. It's too late, said Tom. We know about her. Wendy knows too. Kevin thrashed inside the box. He was in no shape to play guessing games and had little clue which secret his friends were aiming to uncover. On the day before his wedding, what could they want? What could they know? He finally put it all together. Okay! I cheated on Wendy, all right? Frantically trying to catch his breath. With a counter girl from Gilligan's. It didn't mean anything, though. Please just let me out. I don't want to die. What the fuck? Yelled Tom. Stop the ride. A sudden silence consumed the coffin. The sounds, smells, and vibrations had ceased. Light again peeked through the hinges. A beat later, the lid flew open, revealing Tom scowling at his future brother-in-law. Kevin scrambled out of the casket, nearly dragged out by Tom. Kevin looked around and was surprised to find himself inside of a trailer. A series of mechanisms, pistons, wires, a hydraulic press, and other high-tech looking equipment were connected to the casket. He stumbled out of the dimly lit trailer and into the light. As his eyes adjusted to his surroundings, he found himself in a carnival-like setting, seeing dozens of people milling about, most in black horror t-shirts, Friday the 13th, The Walking Dead. Those that weren't eating concessions were lined up outside attractions with names like Samara's Well and the Romero Experience. A large neon sign above the area bore the words Frightville, the sour combination of fried dough, cotton candy, and hay, coupled with his manic episode in the casket, caused him to vomit to the audible disgust of several passerby. "You cheated on my sister, you fucking asshole," shouted Tom, who had followed him out of the trailer before punching Kevin in the stomach and sending him to his knees. Kevin, still shaken by his phony descent into darkness, looked up at his friend. You said you knew." Mickey, now caught between two conflicted would-be brothers-in-law, separated the men. "Dude, we heard you used to sleep with a blow-up doll.